Here's Brody Brazil.
This is one of those stories where you're going to hear multiple different headlines and it's going to sound confusing. But once you actually are able to put it together, it's quite simple, but it's also very unique. Here's what's happening in Buffalo. The Bills are building right now. Bills are building new Highmark Stadium, and originally it was all supposed to be done and opening in September of 2026 to coincide with the beginning of a brand new football season. So it still is going to open in September of 26, like at the start of next football season, but it's also not going to be done in September of 26. They're saying it's not going to be complete until December of 26. So wait a second, how can a stadium not be done and open? So we're going to explain that in this video. Also, we're still about 14, 15 months away. That's looking pretty done to me. How much interior work actually needs to happen here? And maybe some of that is part of this process. If you haven't seen the renderings, this looks spectacular. Something in Buffalo that's still going to be outdoors, by the way. Ownership has said that they like the elements, the outdoor elements of football. So it looks like the stands are covered. They're not going to have to take out the leaf blowers and the snow blowers to blow away all that snow like on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings. That's a famous scene, right? In Januaries of every year, and the Bills Stadium is always covered in snow, and they get it all out of there for a Sunday game. So hopefully it makes the situation a little easier. You'd have to think there's probably some heating elements too inside the stadium that can melt the snow. They're ready to be outdoors, but they're not doing a dome on this stadium in Buffalo. Looks fantastic, has taken a while, is going to cost a lot of money. New Highmark Stadium is going to cost $1.7 billion. It was initially estimated at $1.4 billion up until 2023. They upped it $300 million. By the way, team is on the hook to pay for the overruns, but the public has still paid for most of this stadium, $850 million, $600 from the state of New York, $250 more million from Erie County. And by the way, the state of New York is going to own this stadium upon completion. Seats 62,000. The Bills have agreed to a 30-year additional lease when this stadium opens, and so it's already gone over budget. We know that. And the expected completion date was supposed to be July 2026, then September 2026, and now eventually December, which we'll get to in just a second. But they've already kind of celebrated some things. They recently put in the very first seats at New Highmark Stadium. They had one of their legendary season ticket holders able to come in and sit in his seats with his family. So again, seats are in, construction is happening. They've topped out, right? So they've reached the highest point of the stadium with all the steel work. It kind of makes you wonder, like, what is still needing to be done here that's going to take so long? All of this football season, all of next summer, and now it's not even going to be complete by September of 2026. It's going to take until December 2026. So again, we haven't even arrived, though, at the most important part. If the stadium's not going to be done, how are you going to bring in fans? How are you going to have football games if it's not complete? A report that came out from WGRZ television in Buffalo, by the way, they were the ones to break this story. The Bills didn't necessarily come out and explain what was going on here. This is WGRZ and what they're saying about the situation. So does that mean that Bills fans won't be able to enjoy the start of the 26-27 season at the new Highmark? No, they'll be able to, pending any construction calamity, that is. That's where construction semantics comes into the equation. As recently as May 12th, Bills COO Pete Guelli emphasized that we have no choice but to be open in July. Quote, "We have no choice to make sure this building is ready for the football team and our fans," Guelli continued. Open and completed, however, are two very different things. So yes, you can open a stadium without it actually being done yet, and here's the explanation for that. Stadium construction is scheduled to be at a point where a certificate of occupancy is issued in June of 2026, according to Buffalo Bills VP of Stadium Operations, John Polka. Polka estimates that stadium construction will be roughly 90% completed when their certificate of occupancy is issued next summer. So they're doing the occupancy certificate several months ahead of that first football game. Like, you kind of need to know, right, that you can have fans and have a functional stadium. Whether it's done or not, I suppose, are minor details, although there are some major things to that, which we'll explain in our takeaways in a second. Construction will be far along enough where the county can tell the organization that it's safe. to be inside the building. Well, that would be nice, right? If you're going to spend almost $2 billion on a stadium, it would be nice if it was safe for all those fans to be there day one and game one. Here are my takeaways, beginning with this. Earlier this calendar year of 2025, construction at one point was actually 20 days behind schedule. So it does sound like they've made up some time, but clearly we're talking months behind schedule here, from July to September to now December. A half a year basically has been tacked on to construction. So half a year, and that's in a best case scenario, because I'll make this point and, well, let's just do it now. It feels like right now there's little margin for error in the next 15 months. And again, I can't see, like, if this stadium were half done, if you could see only half of it was done, or if the roof wasn't strapped on like it already is, or the concrete wasn't all poured like it appears to have basically been done already, it feels like it's all interior work and small details to be done, but it also feels like there's little margin for error. And if they go over by another month, the whole thing could be delayed. They need that certificate of occupancy, and they obviously need that in June. It kind of feels like by the latest. Right now, 1,300 workers per day are on this site 6 days a week just to get that occupancy certificate. So it's weird that the project right now is not even trying to be done, like get the construction out of here. They're working hard just to get the occupancy certificate so that people can come into the stadium and they can play there, not even this year, next year. This is how far away they are and how hard they're going to have to work just to do this on time. And I will say that safety is number one, right? So you're not going to have a stadium where something is not structurally sound or there's like exposed steel where there's not supposed to be. You'd have to think that all of this 90% to 100% is just finish work. Maybe it's like the interiors of closets that aren't drywalled, stuff that you can shut the door and you won't see. It's like having friends over to your house, and if there's a messy room or two, you just shut the door and say, nobody go back there. You'd have to hope that it is as simple as that. But on the flip side, I do want to make this point. You can't ever get a second chance to make a first impression, right? So if this stadium has glaring issues and if things don't look right and feel right and everybody shows up and says, well, wait, we're here, it must be done, and it doesn't look that way, or stuff is tarped off and it has a bad construction look, then yeah, that's not going to go over really well with fans who realize that they're taxpayers, that realize that taxpayer money went into this and it's so far delayed. Look, it's just an inconvenience, but I think, again, in terms of impression and winning over the public, that's not going to go well if this place isn't at least up to a pretty high standard of completion. So again, it doesn't look like it's another year and a half away from being done, but apparently that's the case here. So not this season, but next season, new Highmark Stadium is going to replace existing Highmark Stadium, which is right around the corner. You can't see it in this photo, but it's right next door. And this is where the Buffalo Bills are going to continue playing their seasons, hopefully by the start of next year. But again, stay tuned, because it doesn't even seem like this is a guarantee. This is an aiming point right now, not even a guarantee. Hey, you made it to the end of this video, which I really appreciate. Thumbs up on it down below helps me, this video, and this channel. And one more thing, don't forget to go down there, probably over there, hit that subscribe button so I can definitely get to see you back here next time.